podcast since that's when Freaks and Geeks takes place.
Okay.
I had never seen the show before, and I might not have appreciated it as much if I didn't see it till now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, it came on early 90s, only went for like a season. I'm sure lots of people, well, maybe some people out there are familiar with it and stuff. It had its cult following.
Right.
Actors from there have gone on to do any number of things. Seth Rogen just springs to mind just because that's on the tip of my tongue. But anyhow, so... great cast. Takes place in Michigan. I'm not exactly sure where. I should look that up, or I shouldn't even mention it if I don't know what it is. But anyhow, growing up in Michigan.
Now you've said what
Now
state.
I've said everything exactly.
Now people could put the three rivers together with the states. You did that to yourself.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine. I've done a lot of things to myself that never mind. So, wow, what a fabulous show. We're not even all the way through it. We're a little over halfway through it.
So funny.
It really is. It's nice to see a show where the biggest concern in their life is having to take a shower in gym class.
Yes.
I mean, the things that are out now, Modern Family and stuff like that, is great, but they're so frantic and at such a pace that... we can enjoy them, but the show Freaks and Geeks is a much slower time and slower paced and simpler show.
Right.
What were you going to say about the shower?
I was going to say, hey, those are real life problems.
Wow.
If that's your biggest problem as a kid, that's a major problem.
That is, and then this is maybe where I was going to go ahead and bring up other stuff that was maybe not released in the general podcast that is the patrons only. Only because there's a scene in there where James Franco, who plays one of the largest delinquents in the show, goes into this this monologue about being labeled as stupid as a kid. He's caught cheating on a test, and he goes into his defense saying, when I was put in high school, they told us there were 3 different tracks. There's track 1 was for the smart kids, track 2, was for the normal kids, and how do you think it feels to be 11 years old and being told that you're stupid and so on? It's a big, tearful thing, and I'm cracking up when I hear that because the same thing happened to me. Similar, not the same thing, but a teacher actually put on my report card, and she used my real name, is going to grow up to be a fine person, but he's never going to be much of a student. What the fuck is that? How do you tell a kid that, way to lower your expectations or any kind of aspirations that you might have when you're telling a kid, you're telling his parent, guardian, whoever's reading it, that, he's going to be a nice person, but, never much of,
yeah.
It's like...
You'll never be a good student.
Yeah, it's like you've just cut the legs out from underneath him, or the motivation from that person pretty much from that point on. Here it is 30 years later or more, and I'm still talking about it. Obviously, I did just fine. It's just ridiculous. So anyhow... For me, that struck me as really funny just to hear and to see how it was played out in the show.
Well, yeah, he was milking that for all it was worth.
Oh, and at some point I certainly did too. So it's just, it was really funny to me. So anyhow, that was it. I was going to have you share the shower stories, but maybe considering...
I don't have any shower stories.
I guess it wouldn't be right for you to share somebody else's shower story then. And mine's probably highly inappropriate too, so maybe I will just leave that for some other time then, and that won't go in either the patron preferred podcast or the regular podcast. Anyhow, that's probably it for now. Let's move on and do our Crawling Chaos.
Okay.
All right. So this week's Crawling Chaos, it's kind of a twofer here. We've got a double shot going on here. I was going to talk about the deep web, but to do that, I would turn it over to people who are far more qualified than I. Well, maybe not far more qualified than I am, but somewhat more qualified, and suggest that you guys go to the Modern Rogue. You know Brian Brushwood, and I know at least one of our patrons for sure knows who that is and probably already goes there, so this won't be news to him. But the Modern Rogue, you can find it on YouTube, and it's just all kinds of things that I find fascinating, and I'm pretty sure that most people that listen to this podcast will also find it fascinating. They have things on, what ghosting is, learning how to throw a knife.
Didn't we learn what ghosting? We learned what ghosting was on Scream Queens.
We learned about 8 different things that ghosting was on Scream Queens, and I kind of missed that. I wasn't going to talk too much about us not having TV, but of the shows that I still kind of missed that one. But we can catch it later. We'll catch it eventually.
Yes.
Anyhow, easily accessing things hidden on the deep web. So it's a short video. It's like 8 minutes or whatever. I'll include the link in the show notes. Just something that's kind of interesting to see. It's not like the dark web. Not where people are bought and sold and drugs are traded and weapons and things like that.
I was going to ask you if you could separate those two and let people know what you're talking about.
Slightly separated. The deep web is just basically where things are untraceable. Or rather, your anonymity is prized more than that. It's funny, you'd actually have to watch the video and stuff, but they kind of get into some areas where, like, okay, we don't want to go there. Don't click on that link. But the point is, the search browser or the search engine that I use now for anonymity and just to not be tracked with cookies and everything else is DuckDuckGo. If you load that up in Firefox, you can be sure that it's not tracking and submitting your information out there.
Do you really believe that?
I believe that brings up a good point. Yes, do I believe that? I do up to a point. Because I do believe that you have to have, or some people, not me, people have to have a certain amount of class of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Let me slow down here. Confidentiality and anonymity, and they talk about that. They talk about the fact you don't have to be just up to nefarious deeds and no good to want to be private. I
guess I don't believe that any of that stuff exists.
Well, so they checked it out, and again, you should watch the video or watch
Who's they?
Brian Brushwood and Jason, his partner there. Sadly, Jason Murphy. They talk about that. So they use Google to find out where they're searching from when they go into the deep web. And every time they did a search, it put them in a different location. So Google, who tracks everything, keeps track of everything, couldn't find them. It registered at a different place because of that. And they explain a little bit more about that. So anyhow, that was just something that was interesting. Maybe if nothing else, like I said, just maybe watch it for if you're not even going to be doing this kind of stuff, which who would, but I don't know. It was just interesting to me. That was my calling chaos for the week. I don't know. It was just something else to maybe talk about or look at, and I thought folks might find interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. That was maybe weak for a crawling chaos. I don't know.
No, I think a lot of people are really interested.
Okay. Well,
I'm not, but
okay.
Because I think I don't believe
you
it.
Don't believe that it's possible. You're a skeptic. That's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
hey, man, I'm a coast to coast listener. I'm a coast to coast insider. I don't trust anybody.
True enough.
Let us protect you. Use our stuff, and you'll be good.
It's a little bit more than that, but yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So anyhow, I think we killed it.
I don't trust anyone but myself and you.
All right. And I'm kind of suspicious of you. Just kidding.
You maybe should be.
So
don't look in the closet.
As always, you can get in contact with us by emailing me directly at madsaxon, MADSAXXON @yahoo.com. Look us up on Facebook, VICISINTERIMO, or friend me, S. Michael Jones. Thank you again, as always, to our patrons. We would like to have some more of you out there, so feel free.
We've got 2. Woohoo! We've got 2 whole patrons, one for each of us.
We're happy to have that. And so anybody else that would like to contribute anything from $1 on up, do $3 and we can get your name mentioned on the show, if that's important to you.
Hey, we got new headsets.
We did?
I appreciate that.
We're going to continue making improvements to the show, and we thank you regardless of whether you're paying us or not. We thank you for your listening. So, as always, click like, subscribe, feel free to comment, and send us your feedback.
We could really use that.
Thanks for listening.
Never know if we sound stupid or not.
I'm sure we do.